Hello, this is Cynthia Sundahl. I'm a research data specialist with the Labor Market Information Division of the California Employment Development Department. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the California Occupational Guides app that our department developed. It's an interactive guide for individuals that we have added to our website. In terms of what the guides are, they provide detailed information on California wages, job outlook, educational opportunities, licensing requirements. They also contain information from ONET on occupation profiles, technology, skills, tools, and related information. They're useful to a range of individuals, whether it be high school students looking to identify what they might want to study for college or training options, counselors, career center staff, and parents looking for information to help others, people changing careers, people new to California, job seekers, and others who might want to have a better idea both of the job market opportunities as well as the details about different occupational choices. The new application style of our occupational guides has enhanced some of the content and function for our users. We have expanded our search options to include a range of information, including the job titles that fall under each occupation, education, work experience, job market outlook, wages, and occupational group. And we've designed the content so that users can do side-by-side comparisons of up to 3 occupations at a time. We've expanded some of the profile and licensing detail. We've added the education information, which describes the schools in the local area that might help users. And I also want to note that we have downloadable Excel files for ADA compliance, so users with disabilities can use those files to access all the information that's contained in the guides. For those interested in this information, our data sources come from standard labor market data collected by the state and federal government. We also have licensing surveys that are done here in California. We use a large set of ONET information, and we also use Department of Education post-secondary educational provider information. So let's go take a tour of the guide. This is a landing page on the labor market information website that users would come to. Provides a little bit of background information. You can see sections here, describing what it is, who uses it. We have tips from exploring the guide that you can find here. And here I want to point, this is where all of the downloadable files are. So we have a PDF with instructions that would help users to navigate the Excel files. And we have a spreadsheet that contains and mimics the search function. And then we've broken out the details provided into the guide into 4 different Excel files that you can go into and explore. The first step for accessing the guide is to click this launch button right here. Now, this application is built within the Microsoft Power BI system, which is displaying through the web page. So one important note to keep in mind is refreshing your web page at any point when you're in the guide will actually reload the guide and clear any of your search information that you've done so far. When users first get here, they land on the welcome page, again, describing what's involved, quick tips on your use, and some other additional next steps. I'm quickly going to point out a few features before we dive into the guide. So the links to more information page provides links to different websites for resources related to a job search that aren't covered here. First is 2 different opportunities for apprenticeships, both the federal and state websites. We also connect to our Cal Jobs, the Career One Stop Explore, which has some assessment tools and videos. If you are looking for local assistance, like Americans Job Centers and population-specific programs, elderly workers, farm workers, veterans, etc., you can find the services for that, and a couple other ONET advanced tools for people who want to do a deep dive explore. The FAQ and glossary has some frequently asked questions that talk about using the guide and or finding other programs. And for anyone who is interested more in the detailed source information, the glossary defines all of the terms and connects you to the agency from which that data came. But normally from the occupation welcome, you'll go to the search page. And here the search is broken out into a couple steps. The first is to set a local area. Our regional planning units each encompass multiple counties, but to make it easy for users, they can just come here and type a county in. I'm going to go with Sonoma County, where I grew up. The job title search you can use for multiple options. You can type in part of a word if you want to go that route, but I'm going to do a different path. We're going to look at some different choices here. We're going to say we're interested in certificate and associate degrees programs. We want to find jobs with a bright outlook, which means that projected growth is going to exceed 7% per year at this point, I believe is the number. And I want to focus in on some healthcare occupation groups. Make multiple selections in some of these, and that'll show that. Once you've completed your first search, you come over here and see the list. And this is quite a long list. Maybe I want to see what happens if I do that. I set the minimum wage, median wage range a little tighter to get a good selection of options. Now I'm just picking a few different ones here that I might be interested in looking at. I want to point out that this status bar down here will let a user know when they've made this selection successful, and that also opens up the links across this top navigation bar to get into the occupation detail. Starting with our job market page, I want to point out one bit of information. Over on the right side of this page here, you can see a table that lists information. This is giving brief definitions of the information that's presented on this page to help users understand it. There's more detail in the glossary, but for the average user, this is quite helpful. We have 2 charts on this page. One looking at the wages, and we show the 25th median and 75th percentile to give users an idea of the range that they could be looking at in terms of their occupational wage. We also have over here projected openings, and these are 10-year estimates. And we break it out between the change in total jobs, openings from exits, so people leaving that particular occupation group, or leaving the workforce, and openings from transfers, people working in a new occupation. If any of this data is censored or unavailable due to confidentiality reasons, users will find notes over here in this table, and then they can look up the codes here. The next piece of information users find is our entry requirements. Here we provide a quick summary of the career level and work experience and occupational license information. Below that, we have a chart about degree levels in the current workforce. And this is useful because although the recommended education might be a particular level, occupations can vary, and there are often, jobs within an occupation that might require lower or higher levels, and users can find a sense of that here. Looking at our licensing requirements, we notice the first one doesn't have a license in California, but the other two require a license for all levels of workers. And so you can come over here and find some information about that licensing. This will let you know both the agency where you'll get your license, as well as some information about what to expect. Is there an exam, degree requirements, experience? We give the text of the website as well as a link directly to it and the phone number for users who need that. Here, we're going to jump into a bit of the ONET profile. Now, in our guide, we don't go into quite all of the detail that ONET offers. This gives you a high-level overview. We have many of the profiles here, like the abilities, interests, knowledge, skills, etc., that people can look at to see what the top values are. On this side, we present top task statements, which give a little more deep flesh out the description, understand what the occupation is all about. Users can look at these to find ideas about what the job is. They can also identify wording related to that occupation where if they're looking to get into a new job, they might find some of these statements useful in terms of building out their resume and preparing for interviews. Because we don't go into all the detail, we provide a link directly to the full ONET profile. If I click on the link right here, it's going to pop up the ONET website. And you can see they can jump through and look at all the detail, including the descriptions of what those terms mean. Software and equipment page similarly covers ONET-related information. Here we have software categories. So we don't go into the detail of the specific software because that varies and gets updated a lot. And so we provide concepts in terms of office software, database, you can see medical software, etc. And in the equipment, which are the different types of tools or things, you can see the list here, the top categories as well. And again, we provide the links over to ONET for someone who wants to look into more detail. Last page provides information on education providers. Now, this is focused on post-secondary schools, which provide at least a one-year certificate degree. These are all institutions that participate in federal financial aid programs. That's who, by and large, is in this data set. And it does not always include apprenticeships or training programs. You can find those on the websites and the links to more information. For each occupation, you can identify the school. And then this code here, you see the COC. So we come over here, C, it's a certificate. And then the OC identifies the class format. So is it an on-campus program, a fully virtual program, or are both available? So this detail is a new piece of information that you can find. We notice that Santa Rosa Junior College has programs for 2 of these occupations. And so that might be a good educational opportunity if you happen to live in the area. And the user can come over here, expand that information. And here we see things about the school. So it's community college. We see the street address, the telephone number. And again, we have a link off to the website. Right now, there is not the opportunity to print out the information that you find in the guide. That is a feature that we were not able to get built in. But again, users can come back to the main website if they know the occupations they want to keep information for, they want a list from. Like, for example, they wanted that list of schools. They can come into one of these files and pull up the occupation, pull up the region, and see that list of schools for them in that Excel file. So that is the way that that information is available. And with that, I will close out and say thank you, everyone.